Today in Breakfast Bible Bites, we continue in Psalm 77, verses 4 through 6. Psalms of lament exist because of sin, where the psalmist is able to find hope in the Creator, just as we can find a more confident hope in our mediator, Jesus Christ. Verse 4 of 77 reads, You have held my eyelids open. I am so troubled that I cannot speak. How much we owe Jesus, who is able to give his faithful forgiveness, reassurance, and rest. Jesus said in Matthew 11:28, Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Asaph found himself in such a state of turmoil, so much so that the fatigue of his body could not quell the raging thoughts of remorse that sped through his troubled mind. Yet in the end, he will rally, as shall we in those times that trouble us. Verse 5 of 77 reads, I have considered the days of old, the years of long ago. The psalmist would blissfully borrow a glimmer of hope from the annals of yesteryear to lighten the gloom of today, finding in the quiet contemplation of God's interaction on behalf of his people the means of elevating his emotional state. When calamity assaults a jaundiced mind, it is difficult to see the hand of God through the midst of despair. What is the testimony born when we have considered the days of old? Just this. We must not let the memory of lost comforts and companions make us unthankful for those that are left. Mourning alone in the darkness prevents us from appreciating the joys that remain before us. Perhaps we can take a lesson from Solomon, who also struggled with melancholy whenever he was on the edge of a broken confidence with his Creator. Ecclesiastes 3:1 through 8 reads, There is an occasion for everything, and a time for every activity under heaven, a time to give birth and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to avoid embracing, a time to search and a time to count as loss, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Verse 6 of 77. I will remember my song in the night. I will meditate with my heart and my spirit ponders. Have you ever noticed how problems seem to loom larger and things look more dismal and dire in the dark of the night? But Asaph does not concede to the draw of melancholy beckoning. Rather, he is resolved to get to the source of his depression through introspection of his heart and mind, uplifting his soul with a song.